like the cycle period works by half, 1, double, 0. So you can actually specify how long it lasts. And what else? The angle and the starting phase, so where it is to start with, which can be used to fix a point exactly in the sky, like the moon right there. You
The
can have
stream is
multiple
requesting
fixed.
that you.
You can have
Stream is
multiple fixed
requesting.
moons. You can have multiple fixed suns. The world brightness is determined by the highest sun. Okay, now ask a question.
Stream is requesting that you press E.
Right. Okay. I'll go away now. There you go. Alright, so that's that age. And then 6. Age 6 didn't really have much fog because it's dark. Age 6 has 3 star layers, or 3 star fields. Each moves in a different direction. Each also moves at a different rate. No sun, no moon. Well, more technically correct, it has a dark sun and a dark moon. The void worlds now allow you to see into the abyss below. So you can actually see the sky below you, too. Void worlds float in the sky. Okay. I make Sky Village as a symbol. I could, but I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You have the villages in Void Ages. They create pillars down to bedrock level.
Yeah, but I can't make that a symbol, unfortunately. Alright, so... You mean like those?
Yeah.
Alright, what did this world have? It has a fixed sun, I think. It's got...
Yep, this was a fixed sun.
Moon there, moon there, moon there. Fixed sun, 3 moons. All of them moving really fast. Yeah, the request for Sky Villages is basically a village that floats in the sky on a platform of some sort.
Yeah.
That's
without these pillars.
It's possible, I suppose. Could I make a symbol to change the height of the cloud layer? It's called Skylands. Skylands actually does that. Come to think of it, it'd be nice if Void could remove the clouds.
Yes, yes, please.
Skylands should lower, like Skylands lowers the cloud layer to lower. Removing the clouds would be nice on Void worlds. Anyway. How are we doing?
Bino, are you sure that you have written your Skylands as a desert or a plains? Biomes are tied to, or villages are tied to biomes still.
Tormenting the
Creeper
streamer.
punch out. Siberian Gamer, this is not really a channel for support of Mystcraft, let alone Eclipse. we can't really help you while keeping up the pace that other viewers are going to want.
Yeah. I'd love to help you learn how to program and do Eclipse and things, but otherwise it's too difficult to try and do that and stream at the same time. Alright. He's persistent. There we go. Now he died. Okay, go ahead. There we go. So let's see here. We also made... Well, let's go back to the overworld. Oh! Other feature. Or bug fix, really. No more twitching!
That is so wonderful.
It's very
That
nice.
bothered me.
I finally figured out what I was doing wrong.
Ah, what was it?
I was giving the player entity 2 positions in the chunk.
Ah,
Basically, the trick for interlinking is it doesn't do sum code. Basically, it doesn't change dimension. But I failed to not do sum code. Basically, because by that point I'd already changed my main flag. So basically, I just created a flag that allows me to keep track of whether or not it's supposed to be changing a dimension or not. And fixed it that way.
alright. Good stuff.
Okay then, let's see here.
Ice Hunter, please don't repeat things. If things were ignored, then they're likely not relevant. For example, the link modifier is not what's being programmed here. The link modifier is a debug block. It will likely not have symbols on it. The things that it crafts will be craftable in other ways, and the link modifier's recipe will be removed. So, likely no.
Yes, the link modifier's recipe is going to go away once crafting works okay. Up to that point, it's in there just so you can have access to those features.
Which are quite nice to have.
So let's see here. This tab's getting full. Alright, so sky. Fog. Fog. Fog, 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 fog. It remaps the notebook too, for anybody that was curious. So
Well then.
every instance of fog in or colored fog in here, so red fog, blue fog, green fog, white fog, black fog, they all just became fog.
Yeah, at this point I would grab the notebook and replace it.
Yeah. Mystcraft tab. You'll have access to this in the upcoming update. Alrighty. Sky. Fog. There you go. Okay, before we start writing any... Keep doing that wrong. Can't close it that way. I want to, but it doesn't like it when you do that. Alright. So let's do this to everything else, too. Cloud red. Let's go black height. Copy class symbol cloud color. Okay. So what changes between the two? Oops, make that big. What was it?
Sparkle Chew? No, that's why it's allowed. That's why it checks for creative when you spawn a notebook, is because it's not a very engaging mechanic, learning symbols, and it causes a lot of extra bloat to your saves. That's why symbol learning is planned to change in future.
Okay, now,
DS84182, unfortunately you've missed 2 demonstrations of what's going on and what's being added.
we'll go through it
Essentially,
again, but not quite as in-depth this time, because we'll see it
yeah.
again.
In short, there are modifier symbols now, and those modifier symbols can also be used to control the sun, the moon, and the stars. Change their positions, fix their positions, anything you want.
And you can have more than one sun, moon, or star. Well, obviously you normally have more than one star, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And multiple layers of stars.
Yes.
So that should be all that was needed there. Just some name changes. And now it's clouds. Clouds are done. We'll actually make this so that the default color of fog is the native color of fog, approximately. We'll do the same thing for clouds. But clouds are white, so we're done. Okay. We'll have to do all this for clouds as well. And to the sky, and we'll do it to the sunrise. So let's see here. Should really pull up an example first to see how things work here, because the sunrise is a little different. And chromatic will actually serve as a fine enough example, I think. Okay. So Chad is proposing very complex paths for the suns and stars and moons and things. And while that's possible, I don't want to do it at the very moment.
T3 Hero, you cannot join the channel. You don't have permissions, and for that matter, neither do I. And
I had to drag it in.
generally,
Let's see here. We're going to do sky color. Yeah. Sky color. So let's copy from cloud to sky. Make this right. No, that's not right. Oh, okay. The passed in things is different. There we go. Okay, well that was easy. So let's see here. Color sky.
Kanake. I really butcher
That sounded about right.
internet names. There will likely be a symbol for the end sky that doesn't necessarily have to replace the normal sky. You could put the end sky and then layer the other stars over top of it.
We may demonstrate that if I have time for it here. Alright, so let's see here. Good, good, good. That's sky color done. Next, what was left? Sunrise?
Honestly, I wasn't paying attention.
I think it's sunrise. Yeah, you didn't complain about it, so it must not exist. Alright. Ooh, colored in sky. That's a fun idea. We'll see if we can do that.
Allowing stars to take colors might be interesting as well.
Yep.
Have multiple layers of stars. Some are gradients, some are white.
Oh, good golly, that would be amazing. As the developer of Mystcraft, I have so many points where I go, I love this system I made. Because it's just amazing what you can do with it. It amazes me. Alright. So,
tilted orbits have already been demonstrated on stream, in fact.
Yep, tilted orbits are done. So let's see here. Did I just name it Sunrise Color Provider? No. Name it Sunset Color Provider? No. I don't remember what this thing is named, so we'll go look it up. PI symbol? I don't know. Sky doodad, that's not right. Cloud color, fog color, horizon color. Actually, that makes a lot more sense. Because it controls the color of the horizon, not actually sunrise and sunset. Now, things get more interesting, because the horizon is a complicated thingy. Which is why we pulled up this. Now, we'll just pull this, paste it here. Vec3 color equals that. And we'll only do that inside here where we're actually going to use it. We'll also do the same memory management improvement stuff I did here. So this is a 5.
So the Twitch chat is running on IRC, if I recall, right?
I think so.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could set a topic?
It kind of would be, yeah. Cast float. What is it? Oh, it's a double. Okay, well, yeah, fine. Because colors need to be double precision. because. All right. This system does need to
Because works for
improve
me.
at some point, because at the moment, only the highest sun controls what the horizon looks like. Technically, they should all affect it. But I haven't done that just yet. Southington wants suns that don't go straight overhead. He wants to be able to create the Arctic, where the sun just goes across the horizon. It's possible. It can be done. I've just gone with the simplest form of the complex system to begin with. Does the moon emit light? Oddly, no. Minecraft just says night is this bright. It just is. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to make that work at some point, but at the moment, it just depends on the sun. I'm also going to make it so that different sky layers, so all the celestial things can produce some amount of light and control how much light they produce at any time. Am I on Forgecraft? The misspelling produced Forge Raft. I do not ride any rafts with the Forge team, but I am on Forgecraft. I've been on all of once. I should go play some more, but I haven't had the time.
I'm not sure about anything to do with Feed the Beast. I have no idea. Please ask what mods they're including to the FTB team.
And so I'm not even sure at this point because I haven't spoken with Slow. I took a week-long hiatus basically, and a lot of stuff happened in that time frame, and I'm not sure what all. I haven't caught up yet. Okay, so import these. We're good now. Now, a tap dance. Actually, my audience is probably the wrong group to get a Chicago reference, but that's okay. Okay, so yeah.
I'm kind of amazed that it appears no one got my Warehouse 13 reference earlier.
Don't know. Somebody's commenting that my code looks really neat, and I presume they mean stylistically, and there's a reason for that. I actually study programming and whatnot, computer scientist. I actually have all kinds of problems with this, because this has gotten really long, and it needs to do something else. Especially with like things I'm doing right now, like remapping time and fog colors and sky colors and whatnot. It's... Yeah, the person did clarify. It looks tidy. I try to keep it as tidy as I can, but this is getting quite long, and it needs to change. But I don't want to do this way. It goes against my very core. All right. Let's change this. Public. Static.
Yeah, the Minecraft in-game clock is going to be an interesting thing.
Yes. The biggest thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite how sleep works at some point.
Bino, by rewriting sleep, it's not to cause players difficulty, like making them take off armor to sleep. It's to make sure that you can sleep or at least reset your spawn point.
Yeah. So you can reset your spawn point so that sleep behaves intelligently. because at present it does some kind of odd stuff. This should be a void. There we go. Sivadin is asking if arrows are able to keep momentum and velocity through portals now. And my first response to this is a question, can arrows go through portals? Because I don't think so.
Last I checked, which was probably the 9.1.0 release, they could not.
The limitation for arrows was they didn't hit the blocks. They didn't qualify as actually touching the blocks. So the portals didn't detect them. If they do go through portals now, then they've changed how arrows work, which is probably a good thing, because they were odd. But I don't know what they do after that point, because I didn't write anything specific for arrows. I didn't change anything there. And technically, portals should maintain momentum, so if they do go through portals, they should keep moving. If they don't, that's the arrow's fault. Alright, so now I've got a symbol, or a function to handle this. So, as symbol remapping.
Oh, apparently they've been set up to work with nether portals. I think Vanilla is just trying to copy your nether portals as much as they possibly can.
Vanilla
It's
is copying
hilarious.
my portals, and they've not actually made much of a secret about it. Somebody posted on Reddit or something like that, that I don't remember who it was. It was to one of the developers, like one of the people actually working at Mojang at this point, pulled from Bucket, I think, that he basically presented Mystcraft portals and went, "You should do this," and the guy went, "Yes, we really should," which in some ways I'm kind of like, hey, that's my stuff, but another, that's a tremendous compliment, because that means that my system was the actual developers of Minecraft envied my mechanics, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind too much, especially since they haven't actually managed to accomplish it as well as I did.
They likely will never include my favorite part, just because my favorite part also has a downside, and that is the way you touch the portal and are instantly through. You
No,
don't have
that
to sit
happens
there
in
and
nether
wait for it
portals
to
now.
wobble. Well, it's faster now. It's not quite instant.
Oh. Let's see, it seemed fairly instant to me when I was playing with it, but the biggest thing that bothered me about nether portals is when you travel through the nether portal. Oh, okay, Heffron explained it. If you touch another portal while in creative, you instantly teleport. That's why.
Oh.
I was in creative.
Okay.
What bothered me most about that was you hit the nether portal and then you teleport, it gives you a loading screen, and then you see where you were, and then you see where you are. It's just this stop-start jump thing, whatever, and it really bothered me.
Yeah.
My linking
least
has
favorite...
the issue for loading times. If the server takes a bit getting you the world, or the client takes a bit to update, then you seem to fall. But it is at least smooth.
Yeah, I'd have to say my least favorite part of nether portals, though, is just their the way they link up with the overworld and how difficult it is without actually looking at in-game coordinates, which I believe is cheating. Like, in my games, I don't look at them. I don't care if other people do, but I don't want to look at the debug screen. And if I want to get a working nether portal system to quickly travel between 2 points, I have to do complicated math involving, well, not complicated, but I have to do math involving the coordinates. And I don't like that. I don't want to see those coordinates. That's why I like Computercraft's system for GPS. It lets you define your own that's not tied to the coordinate system.
Mm-hmm. Sivadin points out that he rather likes the falling. It seems appropriate for entering another world, and I have to agree. That's actually It's not intentional, but I've not bothered fixing it because it kind of feels right.
Welcome back, Held.
Yeah, that's just how I did that. Not a biggie. Okay. So let's see here. Let's make this class. Create class, symbol remappings. Go.
The transfer may be instant in the Myst books, but
Oops.
in the Myst games, it's not. So that's due to computers. That's due to how computers work. So I don't think it's too bad that there's a wait in Mystcraft either.
Yeah. The wait is just your computer catching up. I can't do anything about that. Well, I kind of can, but it's going to be harder on your computer, so it's better just to let your computer catch up. The only thing I could do about that would be to preload everything. Which
would make computers cry for their mummies.
Oh, yeah. So we're not doing that. All right, so let's see here. Let's move all this. Here.
Ah, I wasn't paying attention. You're making a new class specifically for remapping?
For remappings.
Okay, works for me.
Now this is smaller. All right. I just halved the size of that file.
Bino, I read the first Myst book when I was about 4 or 5, and it's remained one of my favorite books to this day. I read the first book. The second book is my absolute favorite of the Myst series, but I think all of them are appropriate regardless of age. But then I should note that I was playing Doom and Wolfenstein when I was 3, so I'm probably not a good reference for that.
Yeah, I started playing Doom at 5, so we're an odd generation of kids.
Yep. Honestly, I'm one of the people who thinks that it isn't the violence that affects you, it's the predisposition to violence that attracts children to violent games, not the other way around.
Honestly, I think the most affecting part of Doom was the suspense. You're afraid most of the time that something's going to come out, something's going to leap out at you. And that was far more affecting on me than running around trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Especially since they weren't human in any particular way.
Yep. Though in Wolfenstein they were.
Well, yes. They were also...
But it's okay because they're of a political viewpoint that differs from our own, so it's okay.
That justification is always frightening. Okay. So let's do this. Let's cut the fog. Create a function that just does fog. So private static void. I misspelled private. And we need to create an array list in it. Okay. Thanks, Efflington. Have a good evening, day, whatever you have. All right. Cloud.
What do you mean, how did I play at age 3? It's a video game. You put your fingers on the keyboard and you press the buttons.
Clout.
I was actually...
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just laughing at a typo.
Bino, the Mystreader is all three of the released books. They've been planning a fourth for a long time. There hasn't been any news on it for several years, so I'm going to assume it's dead. Well, Sound Logic, one thing you have to understand is that I was begging for a motherboard for my 3rd birthday because my computer couldn't play Reader Rabbit. So
I loved that
take
game.
that for what you will.
We're again odd. We were odd children. When I was, and Veo and I are not related anyway. We've met each other only recently because of Mystcraft. But when I was 3, my mother presented me with a dead rodent. And see, this is a mouse. My response was, "No, mommy, that's not a mouse." I run to the computer and I pick up the mouse. This is a mouse. Like, okay, something's wrong with this child. So let's see here. Sky and cooler color. We'll go down and fix those names. Color remappings. Cloud color remappings. All right, so that was easy. There wasn't a cloud normal. We don't need that. For ICT, I'm not sure what ICT is. No, I'm actually 23. Coded currently is we're actually using the color modifiers we were doing earlier to produce I can't spell cloud. Here we go. Cloud chromatic. To actually be in use. Computer science. Well, I am currently studying computer science at Helsinki University. I am studying and teaching it. So I also live in Finland in that regard. So yeah, information computer technology. That makes sense. It's not a frequently used term here since, most things are done in Finnish. Information communications technology. That also makes sense. Makes you wonder which one is the right or the normally used one. They're probably both used.
The clouds will likely be tested once all of the mappings are done, once all of the code for the modifiers are done. I'm not sure if they are.
The modifiers are done. The mappings are currently being done, and once they're done, we'll go play with it. Alright, so Sky.
Grover, the chromatic color, what the symbol used to do, and this system is completely changing that. What it used to do is it would cycle through a variety of different colors just by writing in one symbol. So if you have sky, you'll have a bright red sky sometimes you'll have a green sky, sometimes you'll have a blue sky, sometimes you'll have a purple sky, and it varies depending on what time it is, or usually for most releases, what the angle of the sun was.
Yeah. Up till recently, it was the angle of the sun. Lately, it's been time. Soon it will be time, but it will also be much more under control.
Much
Makos
more.
asked an interesting question. XComp, how long did it take you to learn modding? And I'm not exactly sure how to even answer the question because I've been programming for forever. I basically grew up programming. And modding is really just looking at existing system, which would be, in this case, Minecraft. So reading all this source code, learning how things work a bit at a time, and doing things within that system. It's really not different from programming in that regard. It is just programming. So I've, looking at it that way, it's taken me 15 years to learn modding or programming, and I'm still learning it because it's not something you stop learning. Not that you really stop learning very much. You don't really stop learning till you're dead.
I should note here, modding a video game that is been released is a lot like what you would do in a job if you're hired for programming. A lot of the time, programming jobs aren't necessarily writing new code. They're figuring out problems in existing code and changing code slowly over time. You very rarely will get to actually go out and write your own systems.
Yeah, basically just maintenance systems.
Which is very, very incredibly similar to what you do in modding, except that you add new content in modding.
Yeah. Modding is often more fun because you get to, like, if you're modding, then you're probably not part of the actual group building it, so you get to do whatever you feel like.
As opposed to having to
do whatever the producers or the people in charge tell you to do. So you don't have to deal with management. Yay! Somebody mentioned QBasic. I started programming on QBasic. That's what I learned with. It was fun. It was interesting. It was fun. Okay, so we've got sky, we've got cloud, we've got fog. We're missing sunset.
I forget what version of BASIC I learned on. What was the interpreter on the Commodore 64? Or no, it might not have been a Commodore 64. It may have been a VIC-20. But whatever the interpreter was there, that's the first time I ever started programming. So I'm actually not sure what QBasic is.
That's fine. It wasn't exactly a height of programming language. It was a programming language written for DOS. It supported subroutines. It was a claim. And since coming to university, I've learned, like, I started on QBasic, and then a few years after that I switched to C++. And since coming to university, I have learned so many languages, and every now and then people ask me, how many programming languages do you know? And I go, I have no idea. I don't know anymore. Most of the time, I can just look at a language and go, oh, okay, it's this, and I start writing in it. And if you give me a language I've never used before, I can usually pick it up in a few minutes because I know how programming works, and I know enough languages that I can just go, okay, well, it's this kind of syntax, and it uses things like this, and it has this kind of features, and run with it. It's like knowing enough knowing enough spoken languages to be able to adapt to other spoken languages.
Yeah, I was setting up the wiki, and I was trying to bridge the login so that you could use the forum login for the wiki. And it was all done in PHP. I've never touched a line of PHP in my life. So I get in there, and I look at it, and I see what I need to change. I'm following a guide. The guide is full of errors, and I have to correct all the problems in the guide. And I just do it because it's not like learning a different...
It's not like trying to learn Chinese or anything like that. It's just, It's very similar to what you already know most of the time. PHP is, if you know almost any programming language, PHP is dead simple.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good simile.
I usually go with Spanish and Italian in terms of Java and C++. And the reason I do this is when I first came to university, I knew C++ fluently. I was very good at it. But most of the basic programming classes, or in fact all the basic programming classes, were in Java, because that's a good language to learn programming in. So I was like, okay, well I want the credits for programming, obviously, because I need to get those. So I took the programming in Java course in order to learn Java enough that I could take the basic programming course, or take the exam in it, just pass it without anything. And when I did the basic exam, I just took it as a separate exam. I passed that with a 5, which is the highest grade. When I did the Java exam, I failed it. And when I went to ask, okay, what did I do wrong in the Java exam? Because I obviously don't want to do that again. He goes through and he pulls out my exam and he goes, oh! And he shows it to me, and at the top of the page, in red ink, it says, is this C++? And it's circled like 3 times. And I start laughing. He's like, yeah, probably. Basically, the syntax is extremely similar between Java and C++. They're very, very similar because Java is based on C++.
Yeah.
Some people won't like that, but it's true. But this meant that basically I'd spent years speaking Spanish, and then I took a few months course on Italian, and when I took the exam, I wrote it in Spanish. This was how I gave the analogy to people that didn't have any idea how programming worked. Noctolator makes a very good point. Source code is designed to be read by people. It's not computers per se. So it's all very similar looking generally. It's also almost always in English.
Yep.
The actual programming language itself tends to be in English. You can define variable names in whatever language you like, which often means here that I wind up reading code with variable names in Finnish. But the actual language itself, the keywords and things are in English. And they're also mostly straight ASCII. There's not any accents or anything in them, but English doesn't tend to have any accents anyways.
Yeah, I think that's mostly to make it easier to work with on any keyboard for any region.
This is true. And English is a very common language. Most people know English. Most people with a computer tend to have learned English. So programming in English just kind of became a fairly natural thing. Also, a lot of things were invented in language or in countries where English was kind of the de facto language. So that wound up being, yes, the lingua franca, which is always an amusing phrase.
Bino, adding code to the portals so red power frame machines can go through is not as easy as it might sound when phrased that way. It's likely not going to be through portals.
No, I do have a solution for it, but things won't go through portals. Blocks will not go through portals.
They may be able to link, but not via the existing portals.
But yeah, that'll come up at some point. Since we're on the we'll move away from the programming discussion in general here in a moment, I think. But Noctolator points out that C is actually, he's very much correct in this. C is very commonly the root language to most used languages. Java is a very commonly used language, though C++ does compete for a lot of usage share there. Most high-end applications and high-end games are written in C++. That's shifting a little bit these days because tools like XNA or Unity use C#. But
XNA is kind of, my understanding is that, my understanding is that Microsoft are ditching XNA support in Windows 8. I've read several articles on, I believe, Ars Technica, um, which is a shame because it's great to mock up things quickly. It's very helpful. I
I've
like
taught
using it.
courses on XNA.
I would likely not release anything in XNA. I would write it in something else, but it's very useful for just getting something out there quickly, making sure an idea is fun.
But yeah. Okay, so what are we doing here? We don't need this. We've finished with this. We're almost done with our remappings. So
All I know is I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the coming months. I'm cautiously optimistic because Source Engine and several Steam games from other vendors, such as Tripwire, are working on Linux, or at least being ported to Linux.
yeah.
And Unity can also export to Linux. So things should get interesting from here. But that's a very wide deviation from what we were talking about.
Yes. Okay, so these were all previously named Sunset. There we go.
Yes, I mean Unity 3D, not Ubuntu's Unity user interface.
Okay, so let's see here. There were some symbols that did... Let's see here. Symbol...
Grover, that's what's happening. The modifier system is being used so that you can not only make chromatic-like features, but you can control them, and you can set it so that you have a gradient between purple and black. And the previous chromatic symbol did not allow that. This one will. All of your old worlds with chromatic should start working the way they did before.
at least approximately.
Yeah, as closely as possible. But you will be able to write your own custom chromatic style symbols, or phrases, I should say.
Okay, so about what color is the sky? It actually gets the
Grover?
color based on the temperature.
Changing the time it takes to fade colors is planned, not being worked on at the moment. Maybe worked on later on stream or off stream. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. All right, go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off. What were you saying?
No, it's fine. We're going to have to go through and play a little bit with how colors are handled. Those color modifiers may need to be manipulated a bit by the actual, like the symbol sky color. It may need to manipulate the color a little bit to handle things correctly, but we'll see.
All right.
Especially since the color should shift depending on brightness of the sky. It uses the celestial angle to determine how bright the alpha is.
The issue with disconnecting or crashing on being impacted by a meteor was a bug with malformed packets, I believe.
I think so too.
It should be fixed for the next release for 1.4.4.
Yep.
I tried to test it, and I got very, very excited. In IRC, I said something about, yes, I got hit by a meteor, finally. And it didn't do that. It didn't disconnect me, but I was just on the edge of the blast. It was actually very difficult for me in testing to get it lined up. So, apologies for not catching that one.
It's
But
difficult to
kinda
get
hard to
hit by
catch.
a meteor.
Yeah. And of course, we have had probably half a dozen, maybe a little more, bug reports on that issue. And it's something that's going to happen when you introduce it to a wide group of people, but it's not something that can be tested for very easily. So,
No. Yeah, it's really bad luck, or really good luck, depending on whatever, but it's a little easier to be hit by a meteor than by lightning, in that you can
yes.
try. It's
Yeah,
a
you
little
can try
hard.
to line yourself up.
It's a little hard to try and do that with lightning, but otherwise, it's still pretty difficult, because the meteors move pretty fast. You don't have much time to try.
It's a lot easier to be hit by lightning or meteors than it is to be hit by the random explosions, however. Because they don't let you know where they're going to be.
Sievelden says that he's had a friend struck by a meteor who was in full quantum. I want to know, did he die?
Yeah, that's a good question. Ooh.
He
You ran out of energy.
Yep. Not surprised, you know. Hit by...
Personally, I would like to see meteors kill people in quantum suits. I'm not sure how others feel about that. I know people want MFFS to be killing people with a certain plugin if they're inside the force field and have quantum on. And I believe that's happened.
Chat points out, let's be honest, it's a meteor.
Yeah.
Uh, T3 Hero asks if the explosion destroys all items instead of dropping them, and yes, it does not drop items at all. And land goes boom. I keep hitting that button. Okay, so let's see here. Play with that a bit. This is most things done. Alright, so we'll have to handle symbols so they work a little bit better here. Alright. Sky normal normally gets the color by the temperature of the biome, but we won't be doing that, I guess.
Oh, yes, normal sky, the biomes specify their own colors,
Yeah.
which is very apparent with things like Biomes of Plenty, which has gold skies, for example.
Oh, that's neat.
And you cross a biome threshold, and suddenly the sky's gold.
That's interesting. Alright, I wonder how I should handle that. It doesn't actually ask the biome. Oh yeah, it does. It gets float by temperature. No, float temperature. No, it never actually asks the biome the color, so I'm not actually even doing that. Apparently.
Oh, then that's just for the overworld? Okay.
Yeah, that'll just be overworld, I guess. We're kind of losing that particular functionality.
Honestly, I don't think people will be too concerned with these new systems.
I don't think so either. Alright, so let's see here. Main things I need to do. Let's check, make sure I did all these right. I think I've got all the mappings right for chromatic, which I haven't remapped yet. We'll test that a bit. Okay, looks good. Yeah. We'll go through, close that. Horizon color, cloud color, gradients, we're done. We don't need the remappings anymore. That. Let's check these. Got horizon, sky, cloud, and fog. Yep, that's all of them. There's no other color things. Okay. Let's open all those and make sure I've got things that work. The horizon's done, because it actually handles the normal stuff it does. The sky is not, needs to be fixed. So
Sound Logic, would you mind sending me that in IRC later, please?
interesting stuff. Okay, so we're actually going to be producing a new vector here.
Bearing Tom, that has actually been discussed just a few moments ago. Meteors used to cause a crash when they were struck, when you were struck by them. That was due to a malformed packet, I believe, and it should be fixed in the next release for 1.4.4, which will not include these new systems that are being streamed.
Correct.
I'd just like to point that out whenever I mention the release for 1.4.4.
Yes, good idea. Otherwise, a lot of people are going, where is that stuff? Okay, now we can modify it. It actually multiplies things by this, so we'll try that first. Times equals, it should just be bar 4 there's.
T3 Hero, look up TPX on the Mystcraft wiki, please. No, Sound Logic, I don't, but it should prevent a lot of it. It should prevent a lot of people asking, why isn't this stuff in the latest release?
We're just trying to limit it. It's not going to stop.
Yep. I have a good understanding of the idea that support questions will never end.
Alright, so there's that. I'm going to cut down these lines a bit. It doesn't need to be like that. There we go. That's better. Nice and short. Okay. Good deal. Don't need that now. One thing we should note here is that blue actually has some extra to it to make it a little bit whiter. This can be done. I can do that just fine, but first let's see how blue is on the sky. Cloud color, let's keep doing things like that. F3.
Linking panels have not been worked on yet, to the best of my knowledge. They are definitely planned, but they're not a focus right now.
Symbol cloud black. Okay, it's just straight. We don't have to do anything to it. It's done. Good deal. One thing I do want to check real quick is the averaging functions here. Somewhere down here. It gets the fog color. It does have the possibility of modifying that color. So I should be very careful to make sure that I get a copy of it, not something straight out of the gradient and then edit that. That could be bad. So I just looked through. I don't think there was a copy or anything, a clone. Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be allowed to do that.
All right. I'm not able to pay much attention to what's being programmed and watching the stream, but I'm going to try something. I'm going to map my 360 controller. I'm going to map push to talk to the 360 controller, and then I'm going to map buttons so I can play Spelunky and see if I can pull off playing it and watching the stream, or watching the chat.
All right, good luck.
It should be a lot easier than watching programming and watching the chat, because programming, I'm like, oh, okay, well that works, yeah. Oh, you gotta fix, okay, you just fixed that.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Solid.
Hello, Solid. So let's see here. So at this point I need the handle to make sure we get a unique color. So vec3 dot create color or create vector. Let's actually look at what this does. What does this function do? I'm really concerned that I'm going to have to go through and make sure that the vectors I've got don't get changed. Probably means I'll have to create an actual color object at some point and make it so it can be converted to a vec3 easily. So let's see here. So yeah, sorry for going off and looking at that without explaining what I was doing. But I'm concerned that the way this works is it actually has a pool that it pulls from. And at some point, I'm not sure how it handles its release and whatnot, and it may try changing a vector out from under me, in which case skies would do really strange stuff. If nothing else, I'll just implement a color class, and that'll be fine. I'll just make it so it can convert to a vec3. Should probably do that anyway, just to make sure nothing like that does happen. At this point, we've got this. And I'm going to leave averaging in for things like this so you can actually produce complicated things. And this should be guaranteed to be new. Or at least it doesn't matter.
All right. I actually have it so I can watch the stream if I need to look at something, and I can watch the chat.
Nicely done.
Heffron is pointing out that really strange could be great. Some of your best features start that way. I think he's implying things like wooden tendrils.
This is true. My main, like, really weird stuff, I don't mean that it would be odd. It would produce strange and unpredictable results. I mean that I do mean that it would produce unpredictable results, but it wouldn't be consistent. It would just suddenly, because you moved, or because that cow moved over there, the sky turned blue, or chartreuse, or something like that. I want to avoid that. Can I clone an array like this? Clone! Boy, that's convenient. Because the cows don't control the weather, but they do control the color of the sky.
Savudin? I'm sorry, I really am bad at names. Cividin. Anyway, that is actually, there is a add-on for Mystcraft called Additional Mystcraft Terrains, and it adds, amongst other things, such as disk terrains and linear terrains, it adds additional pillars. Stone, water, lava. I believe that's all so far.
I actually have a fix for the tendrils in here, but it will not be in 1.44. That's an odd one. It requires some serious changes to the API, so I don't want to do that just yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so making sure that the color I play with is safe to play with. Good deal. Good deal.
Oh, sound logic. Did I say pillars? My apologies. I meant tendrils.
Yeah.
Hello, Matabase.
Hello! If you feel like joining us in TeamSpeak, we're in Jaded's channel. Or a streaming room, whatever. Ah, that's fine. Nana says he cannot join us, but that is quite alright.
Pillars might not be a bad idea, actually. There are pillars in additional Mystcraft terrains, and he is contemplating adding a second kind.
So let's see here. You doing everything? Horizons handled, fog. Check. Fog. And I handled sky. Yes. So let's look at what fog used to do. Simple fog black.
Ah, apparently we have been fooled.
Ah, we have indeed. It's a fake matter. How dare thee. Which is also quite right. You didn't try to do anything as it.
There is currently a way to control the rarity of items in the current release. It doesn't work for tendrils because of some issues in the way caves generate in Minecraft. However, and they're all the tendrils are based on caves. But things like obelisks, as you mentioned, you can put multiple instances of that symbol in the same book, and you'll get more obelisks. You get more lakes if you add more lake symbols, things like that.
Right. And that's the thing I have a fix for. If you, basically I have a fix for stacking tendrils in caves and whatnot. I fixed that in my dev here, but it won't be in the release.
And of course, that fix can break the generation in current worlds. It makes hard edges as normal for any terrain generation change.
Yeah, this is true. It would create hard edges at new chunks, and it would also break any add-on mods, which is why it's not going to be in the update release.
Fewer obelisks than just one symbol worth.
Not really?
For obelisks, that's not difficult to add, but for something like tendrils, that would be quite difficult to add.
Would require recoding that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. We're good. Fog didn't do anything strange, just returned to fog color. So yeah, let's see what it looks like.
Also, I've given up on trying to edit a Pinnacle Game Profiler profile while watching the stream, so just watching.
Death Tickler asks if I ever managed to make it rain chickens, and the answer is yeah. That was one of the first things I did when I played with weather. The result was chickens everywhere.
We really can't answer FTB questions. I have no idea. XComp doesn't even know, and he's the guy who gives authorization and such, so... No
FTB has authorization to include Mystcraft, I just don't know if it will.
Yeah. People are saying that your GUI scaling is off.
Apparently. I probably shifted it a little too far to the left. Actually, a bit, yeah. The actual windows split right there along this pixel, which means this is a little wide over here, and I took a bit of space over here. So yeah, fix it at some point, I guess.
Lawbroken, the links do not work in the Twitch chat. Fishing Bob, that's been discussed a lot of times, and this isn't really the place. This chat already kind of moves quickly, and we're trying to get through a lot of cool stuff, like the awesome new sky symbols and the new modifier system for colors. So we can cover that on another day when it's closer to being worked on.
Okay, so let's try this. Green. I need to get a new book, I think. No, it's fine.
All right. Fog needs a fog color.
Let's see here. We've got a color. Let's green fog. And then we can go ahead and do
Light blue clouds are requested.
light blue. So white and then blue. And then
Solid. You weren't here while this was being done. Chromatic is being removed entirely because really it is too easy to make a cool, pretty slideshow, but also because it doesn't map well to modifiers. What is being used is a gradient system where you define individual parts of a gradient and then they shift over time.
All right.
Cameron Hill, please, please, please do not even use Hamachi. Not only is this not the place to discuss support for setting up a server, but using Hamachi will make it so that you cannot access binarymage.com because Hamachi take all addresses that start with 5 and route them through their own interface, which causes a lot of problems and the sites get blamed. So if you use Hamachi, you're going to run into issues with that. Try Tungle. It doesn't appear to route things if Tungle is not open, so that's a better route for you. As to setting up a server, this is really not the place. Ask on the forums if you'd like.
Okay, so it's green fog, white, blue, clouds. And then let's do some gradients. Let's do a gradient sky.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find the gradient symbol in here. I'm probably going to need a notebook.
It should be alphabetical.
Yeah. All right, so gradient is there. Okay. All right, so what should we gradiate between? Let's do white,
Let's
gradient,
go with
red, blue, gradient. Green. Get a dark gradient. So green, black. Black. Gradient. How are we doing?
Throw in a purple in there.
That was red, blue.
Oh, sorry, was not paying attention. Cozy, yes, I am Vevis Muad'Dib. Hello.
Somebody suggested use 0. That won't affect colors. I can use 0, but I'll use it on the sky, or on the one of the celestial objects. Alrighty. White.
Deadliner, there are definitely plans for that. There are some mock-ups that have been done already, but nothing's been done in code, and that's coming with a more general rewrite of the way that you interact with symbols.
Yeah. That was a good way to describe that. Blue, white, gradient. White, blue, white gradient. I made that really light. I didn't mean to do that.
Are you wishing you had rewriting?
A bit, yeah. Because I apparently misclicked somewhere. Green, fog, white. I meant to have fog there. That's what happened. I failed to click. And then blue, white, or actually clouds. I didn't click clouds. That's it. Supposed to be white, blue, clouds. We didn't hit it. All right, well, we'll do it now. Gradient. And I guess that's the end for that, so we'll do sky color.
Okay, it's been probably about, 3 hours since the last time I said something about instability, so I will go ahead and say it again. Instability options. You can write stable ages. You can use meteors, scorched, which is not in yet. What am I looking for here? Charged and explosions to add instability to an age. You can write stable ages like that. You can disable instability per age with mist toggle world instability. It's a command. You can disable individual instabilities in the config as of the next version. You can change your difficulty if you don't like how punitive instability is. You can turn your difficulty down. If you want it to be more difficult, you can turn your difficulty up. If you want to use a separate instability difficulty, you can set that in the configs. And if you want to disable instability altogether, you can do that in the configs.
I am so glad you remember all that.
Oh, I'm the guy who handles support. I have to remember all that.
I'm the dev. I wrote it. I don't remember all that. Alright, so standard terrain. What else am I doing?
And it was pointed out that I missed one. Most potion effects are also surface only. So if you have potion effects in an age, you can build a roof or go underground. And there we go. That's everything.
Nicely done. Okay, somebody wanted me to use 0, so 0 moon. That will be a fixed moon somewhere in the sky. And then 0, 0, 0, 0. Celestial bodies. Sun. And then dark stars. Single biome, plains. Alrighty. Let's see what this does.
I wasn't watching a lot of this age rating, so. 0 is, what is it? It's a rate.
It's a length. 0
yes,
length.
A length. The current use for 0 is to set a object in the sky with no speed. All right, so the sky should be chromatic.
Yeah, we've got light blue clouds. Achieved that.
Yep.
Appears to be green fog. I didn't note the horizon color. I didn't set it either, so it probably didn't get anything. And then the sky's supposed to be chromatic. It appears to be mostly green.
We'll see it change over time,
Well,
especially since these days last a few seconds.
well, it's tied to the time, not the day, and it goes black every time the sun sets, which means we can't see it anymore. So perhaps a better test is to produce a world that is always bright.
With a bunch of suns?
Well, with a sun fixed to the sky.
Okay.
0 sun.
People are requesting yet again that you turn the music down.
Did it get louder, or no? It's just kind of loud.
Sun plus moon is not impossible. That's what happens if you walk outside on a nice day. You can see the moon outside.
Yeah. The moon is
Wow,
not
the
limited
sun's out.
tonight. Alrighty, so let's see here, 0, normal sun. Let's go through and do the basic setup stuff real quick before I forget to do it.
Solid, what happened there is half symbols stack, and they represent 0.5. And so do zeros. And so the
Zeros
same
represent
averaging
0.
system. What?
Zeros represent 0.
Did I say something different? My apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, so 0 represents 0 and half represents 0.5. And if you stack 0 repeatedly after specifying 0.5, the same averaging effect will be used as would happen with colors.
So we've got this, and now I can write in my sky color stuff. So let's see here.
Ryan, this is not really a good way to give ideas about Mystcraft. If you want to suggest things, there's a section for that on the Mystcraft forums.
Yes, indeed.
Know that Mystcraft has a very, very, very long to-do list, and there's a very large chance that what you're suggesting may be planned, or may be planned with things that you hadn't even thought of. So be aware of that.
Black, blue, gradient. Red, white, gradient.
Yes, you can slow the sun down as well as speed it up.
Green, red, green, blue, gradient. See here. And then white, gradient. Okay, and now we actually specify, we want the sky to do this. Sky color. Excellent.
Yes, stationary being 0 will average with double, and you will come out with the average of 0 and 2.
Which is 1. There's our stationary sun, moon, and it's charged. Well, the sky is certainly changing colors.
Yep.
The sky is turning white. The sky is not shifting to something else. That is a really pretty shade of blue. Might actually be kind of...
Chi-Town, this is brand new code that has just recently been written within the last few hours. Putting it in a mod pack that's releasing in 2 hours would be a very bad idea.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this seems to be working just fine.
Yes, those are 3 moons.
Sun,
No,
moon,
there are
moon.
no nights in this age. Nights aren't pink. If you look, the sun is right there. It will always be there, regardless of how much time passes.
Oh, somebody wanted cyan? We just went through it. And now, white! Why does
Well then, Sergeant.
Why does it do that when it goes white?
That's... Ow. Sergeant Cyclops, if we're on Mars, then I guess I will have to avoid the drinking water.
Yes, don't drink the water. Okay, that's pretty good. That seems to work just fine. It's doing precisely what I told it to do. Yes, chat, I have 3 moons. That's what I showed off at the beginning of this particular stream.
Yep, each of those bodies in the sky, the sun and the moon, and in fact the star backgrounds, can all be controlled independently by the player.
We're running in debug mode here. Let's do something really amusing. Where's our gradient?
Oh, fun. And now that you've shown this on stream, I think people are going to want to do this on their own with the period modifiers.
Oh yeah. I'm going to make it so you can actually control the length of time that each interval lasts. White! I don't know why it does that, but it's pretty cool. Okay, just to really...
I liked that purple that was there. Okay, you might want to give a warning before you do something like that.
I'm sorry to anybody that is prone to seizures or epileptic fits.
Yeah, just for future reference.
I didn't realize it could be quite that rave-like. Somebody wants it to be even faster than that. Okay, I'm gonna try that. Because I want to see it even faster than that, too.
Cozy, editing symbols after written is not possible at the moment.
Okay! Now that we've turned this world into a rave and back again.
Back when this color was just a little bit darker, I quite liked it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be possible to produce any color you like. It already kind of is, but now you can produce it in gradients.
Yep. Oh.
What did you think of?
Make an age and write it in so it has a gradient that lasts a very, very incredibly long time. And then it flashes.
Yeah, I can think of at least one way to do that.
Yeah.
It's just once every now and then. Bah! What the heck? And somebody in chat has pointed out, Hypnogriff has pointed out, he now can imagine people, groups of people sitting in a server just watching the sky. And I think that is quite an accomplishment. That is definitely
That
worth something.
that's definitely something I'm interested in seeing because I really like astronomy and meteorology and things of the sky. And so that's of interest to me. And not only that, Myst, the creators were always interested in things like that and were always putting it in the games. Stuliup, I hate to break it to you, but no, actually, it's not legal. Sorry. It's decriminalized. There's a difference.
Alrighty.
Predicting that Dyer will make a 30-minute video of just the sky.
It's possible. I wouldn't be too surprised, because I'm sure Dyer's going to look at this and go, oh yes.
Yeah, I was looking for him the last couple of days on IRC just so I could send him a couple spoiler images, but I haven't seen him. Masana, Masiana, however you say that, meteors are already in the game. They're an instability effect for highly unstable ages.
Yep.
Things like stacking dense ores or stacking accelerated. They can show up with one dense ores even.
Yes, they can.
Bryset, if the stars become colorized, then that is entirely possible because you can have multiple star layers in one age. So you can colorize some of them to be gradients and some of them to be ICX comp quitting out. I think he's going to go take a look at that.
Making stars obey a gradient could be tricky. It's possible.
Okay.
But
Okay,
yeah,
I
it's
thought
actually
you were
very
going off
possible.
to
I
do
can
it.
make them obey a gradient.
But you can control the colors of individual layers of the sky if that happens, and you can already control the rate at which they turn and what direction they turn, so you can have different stars go in different directions and be different colors. This could happen with water. We will have to see. Grass and foliage are all other things that have been discussed. We'll have to see.
Let's see what this does.
Did you just tint it without modifiers?
Yeah, I'm just testing something real quick. Okay, so let's see. TPX, what was the age with the void? Yeah.
The star density can be changed by... Ooh. Oh, hoo, hoo.
Yeah, people are going to want to be able to do that.
Oh, I'm already going to want to do that.
I want to do that. I just did it. This is cool.
Now imagine that with one of the layers red and one of the layers able to change colors.
All right.
But anyway, back to what I was talking about. The star density in the current layer likely will not be changed, but oh.
I just made Veo stop talking. So what have I got? I don't have that seed in here yet.
Oh, wow. I can't even words.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm looking at this. Okay. Let's...
I don't even remember what I was saying before that.
That's fine. Oh, that's pretty. Let's do this then. Okay.
From chat, I suddenly want to rent an IMAX theater. Ice Haunter, that is not a good plan. Having slow release FTB later would just... It's not worth it for this feature, and this feature will require a lot of testing because it requires a lot of extensive changes to the writing system. So it has to be tested. It has to be, made sure that you have to make sure it's understandable to players, all that. So it will not be in the next release of FTB in the next, what are you guys saying, 2 hours?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's not happening. Sorry. Oh no, these need to be close. Okay. In that case, around.
Is this on 1.4.4 or is this on your 1.2?
This is 1.4.4.
Okay. Yeah, this will not be in the next 1.4.4 release, but it will be... It is being done on 1.4.4.
Right. Where was that color? There it is. Red. Green. Blue. I have no idea what it's going to do, but it'll be interesting. Well, I have an approximate idea what it's going to do, and I don't know what colors we're going to get.
It sounds like FTB is going to start streaming sometime soon and probably steal several of our viewers.
That's okay. These are the colors we got. Kind of greenish blue, all of them.
The stars in that age are moving so quickly because XComp wrote it. He wrote the age so that the stars would move quickly.
Correct.
Meaning players will be able to write stars that move that quickly.
Okay. Still remember how to do this in Java. Apparently so.
Yes, all of the star layers can have different speeds and different rotation angles.
We can actually reinitialize this. So to do that, I just misspelled that. TXP. No, that's the wrong one. Hey, they all wound up red.
Quote, Mojang could learn a few things about world customization. Yes, they could.
They probably could. Alright. I didn't get what I wanted from that. So we'll give up on doing that way. And instead, add the modifier system. So,
Held, are you talking from the API's perspective? That's a question for... Okay, yeah. Held's asking, if I add a sun to the sun layer, will I have full control of how it renders?
yes. I can show you how they work in a moment. Okay. So, let's do this. Stars.
You'd be amazed at how often I forget to unquote. I have to go back. I'd catch it within about 5 seconds, but yeah.
How often you what? What?
I was told I forgot to unquote, so I'm a bad coder because I said quote and then I said something and then I didn't say unquote.
That's hardly fair.
But no, I generally make that error and then I correct it within about 5 seconds. So. All right.
The
so
default color of gradient is white. That makes sense. Who's enjoying how fast this is going?
I am. I always love it when things go nice and smooth and just simple changes make drastic and very nice effects.
Oh, yes. Because I know how to, oh, I need to pass in the controller. That's fine, too. Because I know how to design things like this to be maintainable and set up like this. It's quite easy to just, okay, extend this functionality into this.
Yep.
And then suddenly, bammo, it works.
XComp, you've cost us hours of video. We won't see Direwolf for a month with these changes.
He's going to have so much fun. Alright, so control get time. And now okay, where's our right, these are coming out as doubles. They need to be floats. I've still got an error somewhere. What am I doing wrong here? Parenthesis placement. When this is installed on Forgecraft, whole server is going to just look at stars for months.
Well, they only make ages for mining, so
Yeah.
you're not
So
sure
go to
about
it.
that.
I know that when they add this, people aren't going to notice that it's happening, or that anything's changed. So they're going to go to an age and be like, "What the huh?" When this guy is doing weird stuff. Okay. Slowpoke 101 streaming the sky. Alright. So let's write an age with these properties. We'll do the same thing for that world. No weather. Terrain generation void. So we can see the sky below us.
I like that to get a fully black age, I no longer need to write overcast. I can have weather in it.
Standard lighting. Celestial bodies. Dark moon. Dark sun. Single biome. Plains. And now for the star layers. First we'll build our gradient.
Meteors are not part of a gradient.
No, meteors are not part of the gradient.
You were hovering over them, and it was kind of worrying.
I wasn't meaning to be. Meteors are in here. Yeah, there it is. I know my alphabet, I swear. Alright, so.
Chad is
Blue.
asking a question that I also was going to ask at some point. Would you want to do this system for clouds? Control over where they go, whether they're there, whether they're stationary or moving or what?
I could, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure where clouds are rendered. I'll have to look it up.
All I know is if I can possibly have an age with no clouds, that would be awesome.
Yes. I'll see what I can do.
As of right now, the sun is not possible to make different colors. There will be different suns and moons that you could possibly write, but I'm not sure about if they will be colorable or not.
Alright. In that case, and now we want...
Well, solid, I like to keep clouds on, unless I specifically want them written out. I like clouds. I like having purple clouds.
Blue halves, here's stars.
I can sit there and watch my purple sky fly over me. And
green.
10 points to anyone who catches that reference.
Okay, so we've now got blue half 0, 0, 0 normal stars. I should have been specifying the directions for these. Green half 0, 0, 0 normal stars. And now red. Well, I was just rising red. Half 0, 0, 0.
Pazzle, in the next release, it's likely that they will be that the meteors will be fixed and no longer crash your client. I believe it was due to a malformed packet. As to Haliford asking if it's possible to control the spawning of mobs in an age, because bright ages really suck when you forget to torch up your mines. That may be possible, though I should note, you're already, making it bright so that you don't have to spend a resource. There should be some sort of, pretty sky. There should be some sort of balance to that, and mobs still spawning seems pretty fair to me.
It is very bright under me. What is going on with that? Why is that so bright?
Yes, Heffron, that is the reference I was making. There you go. Nice job.
Okay, good. The stars all wound up moving in different directions. Yeah. I've made the world's most awesome screensaver. Okay, why is it so bright below me?
Could it be the fog color?
Oh. Yeah, it added fog, and therefore the fog was white. Fog. Yeah, with no modifiers to it, so it just wound up solid white. Okay, that's why. Turn off fog. I don't think you can.
That may be a feature of Optifine.
Yeah, it probably is. Alright.
Why you know Optifine? The answer to that is because this is running in Eclipse, and there's no Optifine for 1.4.4 to the best of my knowledge, and even if there were, it's kind of a pain to get it to work with your development environment.
Right.
So,
Okay, so the overworld seems kind of boring now, especially since it's raining.
Sharp shot, yes, that is the point of the modifier system. You can put suns and moons wherever you'd like. You can have multiple suns and moons. You can have suns up and fixed in the sky while moons cross overhead. You can have a sun and a moon stationary. Anything you'd like.
Literally take the description straight out of science fiction. Solid's pointing out he's never using the overworld again. It's really just one sun, white stars.
Yeah. I I'm not sure if I want to say this on stream because it's something I hope for, not something that's likely to be added, so I probably shouldn't say it.
You're going to anyway?
Okay. What I would like to see in Mystcraft is the ability to control the overworld as an age rather than as the overworld system. So have it use all of these symbols that would replicate the overworld, and that way, endgame, once symbol learning is in, maybe you could find a descriptive book to the overworld and change it once rewriting is also in. So this is far, far off possibility for the reasons I'd want it anyway, if it's even added in the first place. So please, please don't get ideas, people watching the stream. But I think that'd be cool.
It would be fun. The problem is it would require that the overworld be replaced with an age.
Yeah, which would likely make it not reversible.
It would
Well, easily.
cause problems with their mods, mostly.
Well, most mods seem to work well in ages.
Well, yeah,
so
but I mean, like, there's some mods that already do that. Replace the world provider of the overworld.
Ah.
So if Mystcraft did that too, we'd have problems.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even want it as the default option. I'd want it as a config that you would have to set. But even so, yeah. Just saying, it would be quite cool to rewrite the overworld as a far end game thing.
It would be very exciting.
The overworld is so boring now that all you'll do is place leaves.
Okay, so that's... We can make another one of those, because that one didn't turn out quite as I wanted it. With the fog there. So...
Heffron, I'm not sure if there's a way to make the default world spawn in an age. The default for new players, I assume you mean. I believe Bucket and Multiverse work to do that. I'm not sure if it's possible Forge and Mystcraft. I have no idea. Sci Guy Ryan, that is amusing because that's exactly the opposite of how it used to be handled. He said the new policy is to use the overworld for mining and Mistworlds for everything else. It used to be that people would use the overworld for building and mine in ages so that they didn't damage the overworld.
Yep.
Wartel, the amount of debuffs can be reduced with dense ores if you do one of several things. You can either write stabilizing features into the age, such as meteors, charged, scorched, which is not in yet, or random explosions, spontaneous